Playboy, you made that beat.
Hey, it's your boy E Tally. I'm back at it again. We're high school hoops with the talking heads. I am E Tally again with
This is Mike Daniel Jr., represent Alamo City All-Star Sportsplex, proud supporter of Super Sports Media. On the horn with us today, we've got a very special guest with us. He is
Coach Rudy Bernal, Antonian High School, formerly of Lanier High School.
well, Coach. Let me start this by saying, can we just call you 850?
Yeah, I guess.
You like that? When you wasn't ready for that one, was you, Coach?
Well, that was a milestone that the 800 really wasn't, I didn't make a big deal out of it. Not a whole lot of people knew about that. And so I wanted to make sure that the 850 was a recognition that I felt needed to be seen, and who knows whether or not I'm gonna get to 900. So I figured I would get that out.
Well, again, thank you for sharing it with the city. And Super Sports Media is definitely going to recognize that. Give me some time on it. I just found out about it. Michael shared it with me also last week. So one, we love honoring the coaches when you guys meet these milestones, because again, for more than a year, I'm going to say more than a year, you have dedicated your time to a school and to our young people. So we would like to also give you your flowers and say thank you again, Coach. So we're going to make sure I'll get with you offline and make sure I tap in when I can present something on behalf of Super Sports Media, sir.
Well, I appreciate that very much. You know, I'm not in it for the accolades. I'm in it for my kids. I've been doing this a long time. I started being a head coach in 1983, and here we are in 2024, and I've been blessed to continue to do it.
Well, I'll let Mike go ahead and start off the questions. Go ahead, Mike.
Coach Bernal. Call you the good fella, man, because every time I see you, Coach, you got a smile on your face, and you live in a Hakuna Matata, just no worries world. And so, thank you for taking this time with us here today. Question number one, Coach. 41 years of coaching, that's four different decades. You've seen basketball literally evolve from the 80s to now 2024. What do you believe are the key factors that have contributed to your sustained success as a high school basketball coach over these last four decades?
The one thing that I feel good about when it comes to coaching is that I put a lot into it, and I demand a lot from my players, and that hasn't changed in 50 years. The thing that I guess sometimes surprises me is that the feedback that I get from my kids hasn't really changed either. And a lot of things have changed in society and in kids nowadays, but they allow me to do that, to demand a lot from them, and that I appreciate. And I think I've got to give God props on that because he's allowed me to have those types of kids for all this time.
Man, you know what I heard in that statement? He doesn't ask of his players. He said he demands of his players. And you know, the difference in those two words, yeah, that's a great reason to a sustainable 41-year success, coach. Good job.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
All right, coach. My question is about your philosophy, but real quick before I want to say something about ask you about your philosophy. I want to give you your flowers in reference to. I got in a conversation a few days ago, and I don't mean to be long with it, and I apologize. And I always said there's two types of coaches. There's a player's coach, and there's an X and O coach who just gets down to the nitty gritty. But for these last 3 years of me following you, you are a player's coach. You get the best out of your players, and they love you. I mean, kids love playing for you, and I just wanted to make sure I give you those flowers because I didn't think there was a such thing as a coach who just, usually most coaches are they're down to it. They're like, hey, X and O guy, and then those guys who the coach just loves and player coaches. And I've seen both in you. And I just wanted to give you your flowers on that.
Appreciate that. The thing about I think the thing that's kind of changed, and it really hasn't, but the types of kids that I've gotten since I've been at Antonian are different from the ones that I had when I was at Lanier. Um, you're talking especially economically and physically, they're different. Uh, I thought that that was going to be a challenge for me, but it really hasn't been. Um, I think the type of teams that we've been able to put on the floor over the last 11 years that I've been in Antonian, um, the way we play, the style we play, uh, I think the kids have fun playing that style. And there's a lot of kids that want to come play at Antonian for that reason. I don't know if I'm the reason or one of the reasons for that, but I know the style and winning has a lot to do with it.
And that's what leads to my question. Can you share your insight into your coaching philosophy and some of your specific strategies of your system that you implement to allow you to win the way you're winning and keep it consistent every year?
When I was at Lanier, the last, I'd say at least 15 to 20 years, I had to change the style a little bit here and there according to the kind of kids that I had. There was some years that I did not have uh, certain types of kids. I had some bigger kids that couldn't run up and down the floor, and so we changed according to the kids that we've had. Since I've been at Antonian, um, I've had the same kind of kids for those 11 years. I've had athletes that maybe I didn't have when I was at Lanier. Uh, the difference being uh, the kids at Lanier believed in what we were doing. That is tough defense, uh, talking to each other, demanding from each other, not just from me, but them demanding that from their teammates. And I think I was part of instilling that in them. Antonian, a little different, but still demanding and getting those kids to understand that not just five guys that played on the floor, but all 12 or 13 or 14 kids on the team, understanding that it needed to take all of those guys coming together to put a winning year, winning season, and a winning program together. And I kind of think that we've been able to do that.
Mike, are you there?
Oh yes,
Okay.
I'm here. I was making sure he's done.
Okay.
Uh, insight's amazing, coach. Which leads me to an added on piece to that same question. When it comes to player development, what are you doing with your approach to improve your players' individual skills along with their basketball IQ?
Um, you know, I've been blessed over the years that I've been in Antonian to have some really smart kids come in. Um, the thing is, smart sometimes doesn't translate from the classroom to the floor. So I mean, there's a lot of teaching that has to go into that. Um, I've been big on, especially the last 10 to 15 years at Lanier on the running jump, man defense, 94 feet. Um, I like playing that way, and I make sure the kids understand that that's the way we're going to play. Um, I try to make them understand the little ins and outs of that run and jump. And we spend a lot of time on how to trap, how to rotate out of the traps so we don't give any easy baskets up. Um, that's an everyday thing, starting in August when we get to school until we start the season, and then it gets a little bit more intricate as the season starts. Um, on the other side of the basketball, we're going to play 94 feet. We always practice getting the ball out and in if the other team scores. I don't want the ball to hit the floor. I want to score on the other end before we have to put it on the floor. If we can do that, great. We did it against Chris Bosch to win the game against Dallas Lincoln. They tied the score and they were all excited. We got the ball out into Josh's hands. He passed it to Joseph and scored a layup, and we won the game. I use that example every now and then. So these guys understand that you can do that against elite people, and that's the one thing. There was a few years at Lanier when we were state ranked, and we were playing people that other people didn't want to play. And I just a firm believer that when you play good people, that's what makes you better. We've had 3 losses this year. Um, we lost to Clear Springs out of Houston, which is a really good team. We've lost to Flower Mound Marcus this weekend in overtime after losing 2 starters to injuries, having 2 freshmen step in and play and force it to overtime. And I think the other game was last weekend against Corpus Christi Vets. And we lost to 8 against an elite team. But I just believe that you can't get better if you're playing people that are at your level or below your level. You got to play people above your level.
And that goes to my next question in reference to how important or what role does strength and conditioning play in your program, and then how do you incorporate it towards those to make sure all your players are hitting the strength and conditioning piece?
Okay, so one of the things, and people have different views of conditioning. I'm one. Uh, I don't think running on the track correlates to basketball. So we don't spend a whole lot of time running on the track. Um, we're going to do a lot of, like right now, once the season starts, and even before that, I only have 45 minutes to work with kids from August until the first day of practice. So we spend a lot of time on fundamentals. I'm not worried about lifting at that point because they do a lot of that on their own, especially in Antonian. At Lanier, we had athletic period, and then we had time for the kids to do stuff on their own. Not so much in Antonian because I don't have gym access because of volleyball and other types of things. So I got to figure that out, and I've kind of figured out that once the season starts, our conditioning, my type of conditioning, we're going to do. We're going to spend a lot of time running up and down the floor because we're transition offense, transition defense. One thing people don't know about us is that we lift every day. I have weights in my dressing area, so I don't have to go downstairs to the weight room. We do deadlifts, we do power cleans, we do lunges, and we do boxes. and shoulder press every day. 30 minutes. We do like 3 sets of 10 on each one of those. Guys are lifting. We lift. It's about trying to think in my head. About 150, 160 deadlift. 3 sets of 10. We do power cleans. Guys are lifting 35, 70, 130, 120, 130. 3 sets of 10. And that's even the little guys. Um, we do lunges. We just do the bar. We do 3 sets of 10. Uh, I want to build those legs up. I want to build the core up. And again, in season, uh, when we have games, we won't lift. But outside of that, every day, probably before we practice, that's what we're going to do. Uh, we do abs after practice. We do a set of abs after practice. So I think our conditioning that we do really kind of gets us ready especially for district play.
Okay. Okay.
Hey, uh, your answer to that question kind of gives me an answer to the next question. The next question on the list, coach, is, you know, tell us about your approach to your team culture, along with building camaraderie amongst your players. How do you foster an environment that brings out the best in your team? Everything that you just said seems like y'all do a lot together. So I'll let you build on that, as far as shaping of your culture and the camaraderie amongst your players.
So when we start in August, I have all the kids. I have freshmen all the way through seniors. And so that's one of the things that my older guys get to be with the younger guys every day. They're in that athletic period. And we do a lot. I mean, we'll split up and we'll do things with kids that know how to do things, and then the kids who are not so good. And we'll work on basic fundamentals, passing the ball, dribbling the ball, shooting the ball, um, communication, um, a little bit of defensive fundamentals like shell and those types of things. But the kids are together every day, and we talk about uh, doing things together, camaraderie, like you talked about. Uh, and I think most of the teams, especially over the last few years, have developed a special bond with each other. Sometimes they have to have little meetings together to iron little things out, but I think that's true of just about everybody. Um, right now, I think we're all on the same page. We're fighting through injuries. Um, we had a stretch just a couple of weeks ago, not even that long ago, where we played 10 games in less than 5 days. Um, that's that's hard. We played 6 games in the South End tournament. Played 2 on Thursday, which I had a play in, which I couldn't understand that, but we did it. We finished fifth in that out of 36 teams. And then we turn around Monday of Thanksgiving week and head to Fort Worth at 6:30 in the morning to go play 4 games there, 2 on Monday and 2 on Tuesday. Got home about 10 o'clock Tuesday night uh, and gave them Wednesday off, gave them Thursday for Thanksgiving. And then we're back at it Friday morning because we've got Corpus Christi Vets on Saturday morning. So, it's difficult sometimes going through stretches like that, but I think it makes kids a little bit stronger, their bond because of being together for that amount of time. And I think it's a good thing, playing tough competition as well.
Well, that leads me to my next question. You're one of the schools that goes out and makes sure you have a tough schedule every year. And with you having a tough schedule every year, I'm talking from fall ball to spring ball and then your regular play. What part of your is that part of my plan and just decision to make sure you go deep into your playoffs for taps, or that's just something that you've been doing so many years. It's just part of how you want to play and teach your kids.
Um, you know, kind of getting back, kids want to play at Antonian. They want to play. Uh, I wouldn't say they want to play for me, but they want to play in the system. They want to run up and down the floor. They want to play, 94 feet both ways. They like the style we run. We score mid 80s every year. We hold people to upper 50s. We're beating people by an average of 25 plus points a game. Um, so that's a lot of fun to play that way for a lot of kids. I don't think uh, kind of basketball has evolved where, I don't know how many kids want to play 50-point games, 50 to 48 or 52 to, 50. I don't know if they want to do that. I think they like playing up and down the floor. Now, that talks a little freedom, but I also have I won't I won't say an iron fist, but I like them to do what I want them to do. I don't. I'm not on. Uh, I don't like to see one-on-one basketball. Every now and then we have to do that, but that's not something that I want to depend on. Um, we're going to run sets when we need to run sets. The guys have to be disciplined enough to understand that. And over the years at Antonian, especially, I've had kids that can do that for me. You talk about Gavino Ramos, played on the varsity for 4 years. He started midway through the year his freshman year, finished as a two-time state champion. Him and Brian Armstrong finished as two-time state champions. Uh, I was lucky enough to get Xavier Martinez to play for me after that. You're talking about high level point guards to run the show. The last couple of years, I didn't have that. And to me, I thought that was one of the differences for us not to be able to win it. Now you look at us this year, and I got Amari Guerra running the show, and the kid can play. I mean, he can flat out play. He's going to find people when they're open. He sees the floor. He knows when he's got to do his thing and score. And he tries to get everybody involved. He's a good defender. He probably averaging close to 6 or 7 steals a ball game. So I think there's people that he guards that don't want to have the ball in their hands. I mean, I try to tell kids that that's your defensive goal as an individual is when your guy gets the ball, make him not want to have it. Make him want to give it up to somebody else. They need to have that mentality. And I try to get my guys to understand they need to try and have that mentality as well.
Love it. Absolutely love it. With everything you just said, me and Tally, we talk all the time. And I have a phrase that pays, coach, and I tell Tally, guard play rules the world. And Amari Guerra, that kid is not just that kid is certified, bona fide, top tier, top notch, all around ball player, and he's a leader. And so you got a hell of a dude right there, and you got him for another year after the season. So that's got to be exciting to know you got something like that coming back to run your show. Uh,
Definitely.
and so you spoke a little bit about some challenges and obstacles. So I want to know, during your tenure as a coach, when those obstacles, when those challenges have come, how did you navigate through them? How did you overcome them? What have been some of the biggest challenges you've had, Coach?
I would say, especially at Lanier, we had some lean years, even though, uh, it took me like 4 or 5 years before we won 20 games when I was there. I got there in 83, 84 was my first year. Um, 88, 88, 89 was the first year we won 20 games. Uh, we finished second in district behind Sam Houston that year. We beat Sam Houston for the first time in the history of our district, Lanier High School over Sam. And that was kind of a thing, something to come down the road. Uh, you know, and I had some good kids in. The only thing at that point was that only one team went to the playoff, and that was rough to deal with. I know the kids were disappointed. Um, the thing is, you don't have those kind of kids every year, especially being in a public school situation. And so you have to change according to the kids that you have to try and get the most out of them. And I felt that was the one thing that we had to do, philosophy wise, is that I had to change. There's a lot of coaches out there that don't do that. They're going to run the same thing all the time, regardless of who they have. And I don't think you can be successful, very successful doing that. And so I felt like I need to be able to do that. Being an Antonian, I haven't had to change that too much. You know, I've had to fight the mentality of the ball sticking with people a little bit too much. And I think that's the one thing that I've had to deal with at Antonian a little bit over the years, is to make sure that guys understand there's times when I want the ball in certain people's hands, especially down the stretch. I want somebody who can attack, who can get to the free throw line, and number one, make their free throws. If you can't make your free throws, I tell these guys all the time, how can I put you in the fourth quarter when the game's on the line if you can't make free throws? The other team knows that. And the ball gets in your hands, they're going to put you on the line. And if you can't make free throws, then you can sit and watch. I'll find somebody else that can do that. I'm not afraid to tell kids that, whether they're the best player or not. Sometimes they have to hear those things, especially if they have a chance to play at the next level, because college coaches aren't as patient as I will be.
Hey, real quick, Coach Tally, before you get to your question, let's pay homage to that 850. You know, Coach Bernal, me and E on our last show, we were just talking about, you know, what makes coaches good. And I say this, and I'm a firm believer. A coach that can adjust is a coach that will be successful, because there are going to be situations, and just like you said, there's going to be player situations that you can't be stubborn. You got to. And so there it is, Italy. There's the key to that 850.
Well, that's why I started off asking him how in reference to he's a player's coach. Like I'm telling you, again, me coaching the AAU side, and I'm telling you, coach, I hear a lot of kids who played for you, talk a very positive way about you. And one of the players was Max George. Got a chance to talk with him for a while, and he mentioned you, and just in the conversation about how much fun it was playing for you versus playing for a few other coaches he played for. So that's why I say you are definitely the person who coached for a long time has evolved to that player's coach. So you're doing a wonderful job at being that. So kudos to you, coach. Definitely kudos. So that leads to my next question. Real quick. So back in 15, 16, you were 5A taps, correct?
Yes.
And then you moved up, and then you've been kind of flip flopping from District 2 and District 3, 6A for the last 3 years. So can you tell me what's the big difference of being a 5A taps and then 6A, and then making sure you make the playoffs every year, the way you do it?
You know, as long as we've been and as I've been at Antonian, we've been in the 6A group. I don't know whether there was a 5A before that, and there was no 6A. I'm not sure. But we've been at the top level. And the one thing that was different over the last few years, especially, is the last 2 years being in the Houston district. And the reason for that was, and I think a lot of people know this, we went from 21 teams in 6A in the state of Texas 2 years ago, or 3 years ago, to 13 teams in 6A. And so there were only two districts back then. So there was a DFW district and there was a Houston San Antonio district. So we were forced to play district games against 4 Houston schools. Uh, and that sounds okay, but when you talk about having to play Houston schools on a back-to-back to keep us from traveling on Tuesdays, we played a game on Friday night and a game on Saturday night. It's like being in college where you got to prepare for two teams at the same time. Uh, and that was tough. That I had never been in a situation like that before. So I had to kind of transition a little bit myself, and especially get the kids to understand that, this is not a tournament situation. You go and you spend the night and you think you're in a tournament and you can stay up till 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning on your phone. Well, we start picking phones up. I wasn't going to have kids up at till 2 o'clock in the morning to do that when we play an important district game against maybe a Houston St. Thomas, and then you turn around and play at Concordia Lutheran the next day. How can you expect kids to be ready to play if they've been up too long playing games on the phone or whatever, talking to girlfriends, who knows? But I had to try and get kids to understand that, we can't do that. So that was the roughest part about being in that district the last 2 years. And I thought we did a pretty good job to stay head above water, water level, however I need to say that. But it was tough, and um, you have to fight all kinds of little injury bugs and those types of things as well. So yeah, that was definitely one of the hardest parts of my coaching over my career.
So would that be just some adversity that you faced throughout your coaching career for the last 3 years, 2 years, or 4 years that you can really speak on and say, hey, that's something that we overcame and we won it and we battled it?
So the COVID year, I think that was the first year that we won. Um, 19, 1920. Um, I think we're trying to remember. 1819 was the year we won, and then 2021 was the COVID year. Um, we were lucky enough to be able to play all of our games and win the state championship that year when everybody else was getting ready to shut down. As a matter of fact, we won the state championship the following weekend. UIL plays Thursday, and they shut everything down. So nobody else got to play for state championship. That year, uh, I know if you talk to any of those kids, they're still mad about the fact that we went to Westlake and played in a game that we probably should have won. Uh, we didn't get a whole lot of help playing at Austin Westlake with KJ Adams and the kids that they had. And, G. Ramos and Armstrong and those guys that I had, that was one hell of a team. And I will tell anybody, I would put those kids up against anybody in the history of San Antonio basketball, East Central, you name it. Those kids, that team right there, 21 state champions, are as good as anybody that I've ever seen high school basketball.
That group was special, coach. That group was really, really good. That group was really, really good you had there. Go ahead, Mike.
All right, coach, you got a hell of a coaching staff, veteran coaching staff, Coach Briseño, Coach Jackson, and I call him a young pup, Roy Garza, right? With scouting and preparing for upcoming opponents, what do you and your staff do to ensure that your players are well equipped to execute the game plan at hand?
So one thing, Coach Jackson does a really good job of uh, scouting for us. We don't, with the invention of huddle, uh, it makes scouting a lot easier. We don't have to do as much on the road because luckily I've been a coach that I feel I'm as friendly to get along with as anybody. I know a lot of people. I reach out to coaches who have played people that we're going to play and ask them for film that maybe they have played someone that we have. Um, and I will get 4 or 5 films on people ahead of time. Coach goes through those, I go through those, and we sit and we talk and we make a practice plan. I I write my practice every morning, you know, before practice that day. Um, I've been doing that for a long time. I post it on the floor, on the wall, and that's the first thing the kids do is they go in there and look. What are we doing today? You know, but the thing about getting huddle film uh, is that the kids can see that they have access to those films, and so I'm pretty adamant to them, and I tell them, I said, I need you to look at film. I don't need you to look at a whole game. Look at a quarter here, a quarter there, half of each of the games that of the team that we're going to play. And I know if you're going on there because it tells me. I can check to see your name and see how much time you spent on huddle. So if you're telling me you're looking at it, I'm looking at it and it says nothing, then I know that you're not spending time. So I use that on them quite a bit, but that's how we get prepared to play people. I'll give you an example. We got East Central tomorrow. We've already played them, so we know just about everything there is. Maybe personnel will be the only difference. They'll have football kits tomorrow, but we got Johnson on Friday. I've got film on Johnson. 3 or 4 videos, and so again, when we're done Monday night, Tuesday, those kids know we got Johnson coming up. There's 4 or 5 films. You need to spend some time. I don't want you spending an hour. They got finals coming up. But when you have a little bit of time, if you want to be good, you want to know who you're going to play, you want to know your opponent, then spend some time doing that. Because we spend time preparing our practices to do that for you. And I try to make them understand that. But that's every game we play. I'm going to be able to get film on the other team, and we are going to be as prepared as we can possibly be to play those people.
Man, that's huge when you're talking about team continued success because you and your coaching staff have a plan, but now you're holding your players accountable, going back to that IQ piece, going back to that preparation piece, because now y'all are asking them questions, in their scouting reports and be in simulation to yours, which now makes that game plan. Wow. I like that. I like that, coach. Yeah.
All right, my last question, Coach, before we get to really get a fun fact about you.
Okay.
My last question is, how do you balance all this for 40 plus years? How do you balance your life outside of high school basketball and your family? What is the trick to that you would tell some young pup just getting out there trying to learn how to be a high school coach?
Well, the thing is about that, it's important that your family is involved and that you have their support. I've been married for 46 years. My wife has supported me uh, in my career, and I owe a lot to her. Um,
Okay, that's again that's what I was trying to listen for, or probably knew what we were probably going to hear because again I know knowing you being married and knowing that and no way you can balance all that without having that support from the household. So that's
and
it.
I have 2 daughters, and I didn't get to see them do a lot of things during basketball season because, it's a busy time. And so
Yes.
the time outside of basketball season needs to be spent with families, especially with young coaches growing up. They have to have the support of their families because if they don't, it takes a toll. So I just think that that's extremely important.
Well, Coach, we're gonna wrap this up. We always ask every coach, give us a fun fact about yourself that not too many people really know.
Fun facts.
Come on, Coach, tell us something about you. Come on. That no one really knows about
You
you.
know, uh, I'm on the guys hard during practice. There's time to take care of business and there's time to enjoy. Uh, and they know when I mean business. Uh, we'll be out there and I'll be on them pretty hard and, I'll crack a joke or something like that, to break things up a little bit. Uh, in between the water breaks, I try and be as cordial with the kids as I need to be. I'll spend some one-on-one time with kids at that point, and then after practice, talking with kids if they had a rough day of practice, and then we're going to talk to them. I think they need to know that we care about them a lot. Uh, I think that's important as a player and as a coach both. That's another thing that I would definitely tell young coaches is that they need to know, the kids need to know that you care about them. Because if they don't think you do, it's going to be hard to get everything you can, especially if you're as demanding about things as I have been over my career.
Okay.
All
Okay. Go
right.
ahead, Mike.
All right, Coach. So to wrap this up, fun time now. I'm going to hit you with a series of rapid fire questions. I'm going to give you a question, you give me an answer, and then we wrap this thing on up, okay?
Okay.
NFL football, who you got winning the Super Bowl?
Detroit,
I like that pick. Pizza or calzone, who you got?
Calzone,
Ooh, cheeseburger or chili cheese dog, which one you going with?
cheeseburger.
NBA, who you got winning the NBA this year?
Oh man, that's a little difficult. I think Boston has another shot to get there. Um, I haven't really kept up a lot. I mean, I love San Antonio. I'm a Spurs fan from way back. Uh, people don't. This is one thing people don't know about me is that I had my knee operated on in 2001, playing softball, tore cartilage, got scoped. I take that back. This is the first time, like that was in 2001. I got uh, operated on 1975 when I was in college, uh, tore cartilage. Well, back then they didn't do scope. Yeah, I have a scar about 3 inches long where they just took it out. Um, so I mean, I've got arthritis now in both knees because I don't have a whole lot of cartilage. But the big thing about that is the guy who I had next door who had just had his knee operated on as well, James Silas, Jimmy Si, Captain Lake, whatever you want to call him, gave me a pair of his game shoes, Adidas, way back when. And we've been friends for a very long time. I know he lives in Austin, and I talk to him every now and then. I talk to his son, Xavier. So that's a fun fact. Not a whole lot of people know.
Thanks, Coach. Thanks. We needed that.
All right, Coach. Whataburger or In-N-Out?
No in and out for me. I'm a Whataburger guy.
Hey, guys. That's it.
Okay, now I got a challenging one. College football with no roll tide this year. Who you got coming out the CFP this year, Coach?
Man, I think if they get things together and play like they're capable of playing, I think Texas beats Georgia in the final.
Hard to beat a team 3 times, that's for sure. All right, wings, hot or barbecue?
How, so what are barbecue?
Hot or barbecue?
Oh, wings. Okay. I like hot.
Okay, drums or flats?
Uh, drum.
All right, now here's a bonus question for you. Magic Johnson or Larry Bird?
That's a hard pick because that's my time.
I know
Uh,
it.
I would have to say Magic.
Can't go wrong with either one, but I definitely respect the choice.
I'd go with Bill Russell myself. That's my hero.
Okay, okay,
Bill Russell.
okay. Well, hey, Coach, thank you for allowing us to spend this time with you on this Sunday. And our game of the week is your game versus Johnson on Friday night. So we will be in the building. I believe I'm gonna be in the building both games, your East Central game and your Johnson game. So
Okay, awesome.
thank you again.
I appreciate it.
Thank you,
Thank you,
Coach.
guys.
Thank you for your time. Look forward to seeing you in the season in the gyms, Coach. We appreciate you.
Yes, sir. Thank you very much. I appreciate both of you guys.